Chapter 26. Legends and Decisions. F. Fina watched as Elion walked over and settled down next to the other elves. He had been keeping a hawk-like watch on Lytheria until her breathing slowed. The other elves had questioned the humans, but as far as Fina could tell, none of them had seen humans in thousands of years. Ghalen interrupted the discussion.
What do you plan to do with us, Elion? Are we still to face your council as captives?
Couldn't you have given us 10 more minutes of peace before ruining the mood? Fina shot Ghalen a glare. The tension thickened. Elion gazed into the flames. It seems both our parties may stand before the council. Your name is Ghalen, correct? His tone was less confrontational, but the inherent authority in his voice marked him as a leader. He sighed and leaned back, his eyes still fixed on the fire. Whatever transgressions you may have committed by coming here, I suspect I've outdone them by far. He glanced at Lytheria. What happens next will be up to the commander. If what you say is true, and Ravemark has sided with the Darkhoon, then I see no outcome but battle. Fina couldn't say she enjoyed the way she'd been introduced to these elves, but if it meant they had a few more allies now, she could live with it. Her eyes found Lytheria again, watching over her. They sat in mutual silence for several minutes, Elion occasionally glancing at Haldor, who was tending to his blade. Swordmaster, I must say, your skills are impressive, even by elven standards. You should take pride in your ability. Haldor looked up, startled by the unexpected compliment.
Swordmaster? Me? I am merely a king's guard. I trained to protect my king. The moment you became serious, I was defenseless as a newborn. Had Lytheria not intervened, I would have failed to protect him.
He murmured, glancing toward Ghalen. Elion's eyes widened. Defenseless? I bested you because I augmented my blade, something you cannot do. As for pure swordsmanship, you have me beat, and I consider myself one of the finest blades in these lands. Don't underestimate yourself, Kingsguard. He uttered the last word like a challenge, his gaze shifting to Ghalen. Haldor cleared his throat, a faint blush creeping across his face. Ghalen, noticing Haldor's discomfort, intervened.
The time for secrets has passed, Haldor. Rest easy. Knowing my true title won't win us any favors with the elves, or make us more of a target than we already are.
The elves regarded Ghalen for a moment, and Elion offered a respectful nod, which the others mimicked. We do not discard customs simply because they are foreign to us. Forgive me, King Ghalen. Although you may not rule our lands, we recognize your title. Ghalen snorted.
A title that seems to mean little here, doesn't it? As for Haldor's modesty, I've been trying to beat it out of him for years. I doubt you'll have much more success.
Haldor shook his head, his focus returning to the blade he was tending.
What about my ranger? Why did you bind her again?
Ghalen gestured toward Nellerith, who was sitting at the edge of the camp, her gaze fixed on the ground and hands still tied. Nellerith had been silent since their return. Elion's expression hardened as he looked at Nellerith. I have no desire to dishonor a keeper of the keys. However, she willingly handed your priestess over to the council guard, as if she knew we were coming. That warrants some explanation, I believe. Both Ghalen and Haldor looked stunned. Ghalen raised his voice, addressing Nellerith directly.
Is this true, Nellerith? Did you knowingly turn Fina over to them?
The ranger's eyes remained downcast.
Answer me, Nellerith. Or have you struck your head and forgotten all the oaths you've sworn?
At the mention of oaths, Nellerith flinched, her eyes lifted to meet Galen's. Forgive me, She faltered, her gaze flickering around as if the forest floor might offer some explanation. Oaths trouble me. Last night, a figure came to me in my dreams. It knew so much about me, about my people. I thought Elion was behind it, since he was the one who captured us. But this creature, it was shaped like a bird. He made me speak. I'm sorry. She shook her head. It claimed I was oath-bound to help capture her, that Fina would serve as leverage, in case the betrayer Lytheria refused arrest. If I disobeyed, my kin would be damned for eternity as oath-breakers. The ranger's voice trembled, and she looked so torn that Fina feared for her sanity. Haldor and Fina spoke in unison.
I saw it too.
Ghalen sighed.
It visited me as well, Nelireth. I had intended to confront Lytheria about it, but Elion's men intercepted us first.
He fixed a stern glare on the elves.
So this was not your doing?
No, we cannot conjure, Elon replied. But Ravemark, who sent us on this mission, is well versed in the arcane arts. His emblem is a great bird, a raven in black and gold.
Fina nodded, frowning. That description rang all too true.
How did he know so much about us? And how did he know what to offer us?
Ghalen asked. He is a master of his craft. He would search your mind before entering your dreams. One of the elves answered. Elion's voice grew darker.
He knew of Lytheria's presence, or at least suspected it, and sought to dispose of her. And judging by the actions of the council guards, she was not the only one he intended to remove.
Fina rolled the small crystal in her pocket. He gave me this. She held it out for the others to see. Elion snatched it from her hand and crushed it against a rock.
It's a tracking crystal. He's never been one to rely on a single plan. Did anyone else receive one?
Haldor, while cutting Nelrith's bonds, interjected.
This raven, or sorcerer, whoever he is, told me that if I knew why the gates were closed, what Lytheria had done to my kind, I would never aid her. He rambled about genocide before I destroy this crystal, Elion. Can you tell us why you sealed the gates? What did she do?
The elves exchanged uneasy glances. Elion's voice wavered as he replied.
It may not be my place to reveal such truths. If Lytheria hasn't shared it with you, she must have her reasons. Perhaps it's best if we wait until she wakes.
He set his jaw.
We wait then,
Ghalen said, sparing a glance at Lytheria.
Fair enough,
Elon said.
But I will not allow you to keep the crystals if we start moving again.
Haldor cleared his throat.
So, which one of you holds the upper hand? Given that you both have the same title, did you best Lytheria during training, or did she humble you?
Elion perked up.
In a friendly spar like ours, perhaps I could claim victory against the Dawnbreaker. But if she were truly committed, no elf in these lands would stand a chance. She is the strongest augmenter there has ever been.
Fina shifted her gaze from Lytheria to the conversation. The Dawnbreaker. Is it a name or a title? You seem to use it interchangeably. One of the elves, who had introduced himself as Meadowin, spoke up. It serves us both. He paused before continuing. During the Darkhoon War, where she was around my age, 400, she apprenticed under the Legion commander, one of the only 3. The Long Night, as it would be called in your tongue. It was a time of immense despair. When the commander and most of his lieutenants fell, it seemed our fate was sealed. The remaining elves gathered, bracing for the inevitable end. But as dawn's first light touched the hill of the battlefield, she emerged. Banner held high, rallying our spirits. She became the embodiment of the breaking dawn, a beacon of hope. From that moment, she was named the Dawnbreaker. Of course, these are tales passed down through generations. I wasn't there to witness it firsthand. But Elion, he glanced at his commander, who appeared momentarily lost in memory. Elion straightened and nodded.
The tales are true. That day, she appeared as if a god had descended, turning the tide in our favor.
Enough of the fables, came a rasp from Lytheria, half buried in her blankets. Elion was on his feet in an instant at her side.
Are you all right, Commander?
His fingers closed around her hand. Quite all right, Elion. Could you assist me in standing? With his help, she rose, limping her way over to the gathered company. Leaning on Elion's shoulder, she took her seat and drew in a slow, deliberate breath. Her eyes found Fina's. Thank you for saving me yet again, my friend. I'm not sure how I will ever repay you. Fina's lips curled into a small smile, which quickly faded as she looked down. I might never get a chance to collect, the way our luck has been going.
Commander, do you have any idea what would make Ravemark do this? Why would he try to get rid of you?
I don't know, Elion. Ravemark and I have never seen eye to eye. I can only assume he needed me gone because I would stand in the way of his schemes. As for why he didn't kill me, he's proud. He likely wanted one last victory over me by having me enslaved. Lytheria scoffed. He's a coward, Medowin said. He probably didn't have the guts to kill you. That may be, Lytheria said. But I will tell the humans what they want to know. But I hope you will not think less of me after. Her eyes swept over the somber faces of her kingsmen. I was truthful when I said we closed the gates to protect you. I was perhaps vague in saying who we were protecting you from. She paused, letting her words hang in the air. You asked me in the temple, Fina, if I could read the symbols of the gods you worship. I could not. Those runes are the language of the humans who came before you. The kingdom of Rodinia, which stood tall 2,000 years ago, was the first to unite the Isle under a single banner. They traded with us, learned the secrets of harnessing the sun from us, and yes, some even found love among us. Her gaze shifted to Nelrith, who had just rejoined the group after some hesitation.
And these humans were enslaved by the Darkun? Even with 5 kingdoms united?
Ghalen asked. Lytheria shook her head. No. The kingdom that once occupied the land where your Urania stands today was enslaved. We were the ones who freed them. The unification of the human realms came much later. Centuries later. However, each succeeding generation grew stronger through their collective wisdom and what they had learned from us. Their united forces eventually outnumbered us significantly. Haldor, chin in his palm, asked.
But they were allies, no?
There was a weighted silence. Yes and no, Lytheria said, taking a brief pause as if gathering the courage to plunge into deep waters. Our scouts discovered they weren't sharing the full extent of their advancements with us. I interpret this as evidence of ill intent. I would not have my people endure another war. I presented my concerns to the council, and they acted in haste. An unusual thing for us, for we've learned over the ages that haste rarely leads to wise decisions, but fear for survival outweighed caution. She took another breath before continuing. The order was given. We had to dismantle the power we had helped to create. We infiltrated their ruling councils, sowed discord among their ranks, and severed the central kingdom's access to their sun magic. That magic had been a binding force among the human realms, so its absence ignited a civil war within their kingdoms. What they didn't lose in the chaos of their internal struggles, we swept away once the dust had settled. Once it was done, our council voted unanimously that the gates should be sealed and interference with humankind would be outlawed. So Ravemark speaks the truth. I committed atrocities against your race. Lytheria hesitated and looked off into the distance. She did not meet Fina's eyes.
Lily, a murderer.
Fina took a few steps back. You decided to kill the humans. Did you wipe an entire continent? Because they might attack you? She frowned in disgust. What makes you any different from the Darkhoon? Lytheria's eyes rose to meet Fina's. I understand what you must be feeling. The revulsion. And know this, I am not proud of what was done. It's a burden I've carried for many centuries. Ilion took a step forward. We have lived long enough to witness the rise and fall of countless human empires, seen civilizations flourish and crumble tenfold over. Our lifetime span over time you read of only in your oldest texts. The perspectives that come from living through such times cannot easily be shared or understood. Lytheria nodded, taking up the thread. The loss of life, any life, is a tragedy. I don't deny the weight of our decision. We live it every day. I live with it every day. But you must understand my perspective was skewed. The fall of one kingdom, though a somber chapter in a very long book, was not the end for humankind in my mind. Ilion spoke up again, his eyes sweeping over the group. We've learned from our mistakes. We acted in haste and fear. I never meant to deceive you, Fina, Lytheria said, her voice barely a whisper. You were my friend, and I still hope you can be. Regret cast a long shadow across Lytheria's face. etching itself into the lines around her mouth. She glanced at Elion, his stoic expression unreadable. Turning back to Fina, Lytheria continued. I deceived you for fear of judgment. I don't expect blind forgiveness, nor the erasing of the past. But I ask you to understand. Life forced me to make a hard choice. Her eyes pleaded. Fina swallowed, her voice choked with emotion. I don't know. Ghalen rose.
Our history is stained with blood, all for the sake of peace. My grandmother is called both a tyrant and a saint.
He stated, his gaze sweeping across the other humans in Ellerith.
With your permission, we would like to discuss this matter amongst ourselves.
He looked at Lytheria, waiting for her response. Lytheria held her hand out in a gesture of peace. You are not prisoners, she said. You are free to leave if you wish. The humans and Nelrith huddled together at the opposite end of the camp. Nelrith clenched and unclenched her fists, face contorting into grimaces. Fina grabbed her arm. Are you okay, Nelrith? The ranger startled. Yes. I must ask forgiveness. She dropped to her knees before the party. What I did was unforgivable. I broke my oaths. I forsook my honor. Her voice trembled. There was a heaviness to her, a seriousness that didn't suit her. Like an ill-fitting glove on someone usually so aloof. Fina disliked the change. Nelrith turned to her. Especially to you, priestess. There can be no absolution. I gave you to the enemy. My mind was weak. I only ask that you allow me to see this mission through, and then deliver whatever punishment is owed. Fina felt a sudden shame. Not for Nelrith, but for herself. She had been assaulted by the same magic. She too had seen the truth in the lies. She too had considered betraying Lytheria, if only to glimpse the source of Lumiere. And yet, here was Nelrith, on her knees, asking for forgiveness. Fina took her hands. There is nothing to forgive, Nelrith. Ghalen stepped forward.
There is magic and power at work here that goes beyond us. We were all affected, each in our own way. Don't let this consume you.
Nelrith drew a deep breath, squeezed her eyes shut, and rose to her feet. As she opened them again, her shoulders eased, and for a moment, Fina thought she saw a flicker of that familiar mischievous grin. The ranger stooped to pick up a golden leaf from the forest floor. Not quite as wonderful as leaves of my own forest, she said, humming softly. But this place truly is magical. She looked around at them all. I will make amends, my friends. I will see our mission through. The voices grew hushed in a deliberation about their next course of action. It seemed Nelrith's people, too, had been kept in the dark about the Redenians' fate.
It was thousands of years ago. I don't see how it concerns us,
Haldor said, stone-faced. And yet I don't see why they could not do the same to your kingdom, Nelrith added. Fina shook her head. I think I trust Lily, no matter what Lytheria did.
I think we might need to think of them as one and the same, Fina.
Ghalen said in a solemn tone.
But I also believe we don't have a choice here. We need to throw our lot in with these elves, no matter what. I think we should perhaps withhold judgment until we understand the full picture.
After a brief silence, Ghalen stood, his face a mask of frustration.
I need some air,
he said, then took out the crystal in his pocket and crushed it. With a heavy stomp of his boots, he marched away, disappearing into the dense forest path. Can you believe this, man? She gnawed on her lip, her every nerve screaming as the seconds stretched into an unbearable eternity. Holding up her robe, she marched down the forest path, a tempest of rage swirling within her. She was furious at the world, at Lytheria, at herself, and especially at Ghalen for his pondering. She was resolved to unleash upon him the full force of her thoughts. Following the narrow trail, she found him standing before a pond, its placid surface mirroring the shimmering starlight overhead. And just like that, her anger evaporated, dissipating like morning mist under the sun's touch. There he was, the one man who had ever unsettled her emotions and calmed the turmoil of her thoughts. He looked lost, his hand quivering like he was fighting some internal battle. Quietly, she came up behind him and enveloped his trembling hand in her steady grasp. She lightly rested her chin on his shoulder, and it was then she saw them, the trails of his tears. "What troubles you, my port in the storm?" she whispered, a term of endearment she hadn't used since the days of their youth. To hell with caution. None of it mattered now. She loved him, and it was high time he was reminded of it. As though in response to her unvoiced command, the grip on her hand tightened, and the trembling stopped. He looked up at her, his lips stretching into a smile, even as his eyes spoke of a void within.
I've led us astray, my heart under the mountain. I've failed my friends, my kingdom, and you. My strategies have been flawed from the start,
he said, each word soaked in self-condemnation. Something inside her shattered, whether it was his self-destructive demeanor or the sight of the man she loved unraveling before her. She couldn't say. But she'd had enough. "Enough of this self-pitying tripe, High King Ghalen Whitmore," she hissed. "Enough of this self-pitying tripe, High King Ghalen Whitmore," she hissed. "Your so-called foolish plans have been the only thing keeping our kingdom alive for years. Years that even your wisest consolers said were lost causes." Her fist tightened, a halo of tension surrounding her. "And Pyre, we all ache for him, but we entered this quest knowing well what might come. We were all hoping for some godforsaken miracle. His death is not yours to bear alone. Would you reduce his sacrifice, his hopes, by turning them into simple obedience?" Her words lingered in the air, challenging him to deny her the truth. He didn't refute her. Instead, in a swift motion, he swept her off her feet, twirling her with a laugh before kissing her deeply, fiercely, as though the years apart might have erased in one breathless moment. For the span of a heartbeat, it felt like it worked. The words softened, but as he set her down, reality returned, jagged at the edges.
Oh, how I've missed you, Finavera Maldive,
he said, his voice rough with feeling.
Where have you been hiding all these years?
Fina steadied herself, arching a brow with mock disdain. "Where have I been? Ghalen, you vanished behind courtly protocol the moment that crown touched your head. I saw you only when duty required it, and even then, barely. The real question is, where have you been?" His smile faltered. His eyes, always steady, always sure, now flickered with doubt.
You told me once you'd rather die than be some castle-bound queen. That you weren't made for royal life. After my coronation, I thought I'd lost you, or that you'd already decided to leave. I have loved you in silence longer than I care to admit.
She blinked, then let out a breath that was half laugh, half aspiration. "You utter fool." His head tilted. She stepped closer, her voice softening. "I never wanted the title. Still don't. But I would have followed you into any court, any war, any crown. Not because I wanted to rule beside you, but because I wanted you." That landed. He looked at her for a long moment, the silence charged.
I have loved you in silence longer than I care to admit,
he said at last.
But I won't be silent now. Fina, if we make it through this, if there's even a sliver of peace left for us at the end, will you give me another chance to spend my life with you?
Her lips twitched into a smirk. "Technically," she said. "I already said yes. Years ago. You were just too busy playing king to remember." He laughed, breathless. And then she was in his arms again. And this time, the kiss wasn't to forget the world, but to anchor them in it. They held each other close. In the stillness, they carved out a space untouched by war or destiny, For a little while, it was enough. As they returned to the camp, Haldor cast them a look that went far too perceptive, and Fina felt a warm blush creep over her cheeks. Nothing escapes those hawkish eyes. But couldn't this moment have been all a little secret? She averted her gaze, unwilling to meet his scrutiny. Ghalen returned with the air of relentless resolve, not a tremor of doubt tainting his voice.
I will harbor no ill will for the choices they've made. And without their help, we will fall.
The rest of the group nodded their agreement. As they returned to the elves, Lytheria looked at them in anticipation. Ghalen straightened.
We have decided not to hold your past against you.
I'm relieved, Lytheria said.
If you've made your peace with us humans, I think it's time you return to your home. Medoin will see you through the gate.
Elion said.
We can't leave.
Ghalen said.
Not without your help. Our people will die. We will help you see this through.
You can't stay. There will be fighting where we are going. And although your bodyguard is most potent with a blade, you would all get in our way. And our chances are pretty poor without your interference.
Elion said. Fina could see the pain in Galen's face. He would not have been through all this to give up now.
She swore she would help us. Do elves take their oaths lightly?
He asked.
I don't care what she...
Elion was interrupted by Lytheria's hand on his shoulder. They will stay, Elion. I have sworn on my life that I will help them if I survive our coming trial. They will be under my protection. If you still respect my wishes, please grant me this last one, she said. Elion looked back at her, nodding. He then dropped to one knee.
Lytheria, you may have lost your title when I assumed leadership, but I would still follow your word until my last breath.
Fina noticed the way Elion looked at Lytheria. There was a fierce passion in his eyes, and she did not envy anyone who might come between him and her. As the humans busied themselves packing their belongings and readying the horses supplied by the elves spoke quietly amongst themselves. Fina caught a glimpse of Lytheria lingering at the edge of the group, hesitating. She took a step forward, then stopped, her fingers twitching as if she might turn away. Fina narrowed her eyes. Don't run now, Lily. She raised a hand, beckoning her over. Lytheria obeyed, but her steps were reluctant. Fina took her aside, clasping her hands. She had to tilt her head to meet the elf's gaze. Will you be all right? I've seen that look in your eyes 100 times before. You're afraid. What if the fever takes you again? Lytheria fidgeted with her leather cord on her wrist. I'll be fine. You'll be with me, won't you? Besides, I'm an elven general, am I not? She smiled, but Fina saw the uncertainty behind it. Keep telling yourself that, and maybe one day you'll believe it. Fina frowned. But it won't be today. Lytheria looked less confident with each passing hour, and it gnawed at her. General or not, can you defeat this Ravemock? Is he powerful? He is a conjurer, one of the third teachings of the Awakener, Lytheria said, her voice slipping into the familiar rhythm of knowledge she had likely recited before. Radiants heal the wounded, and augmenters strengthen their forces. Conjurers, on the other hand, use the energy of the sun to create, shaping objects of power to manifest their will. She stepped away, gaze fixed on the road ahead. They can be useful in battle, creating barriers, illusions, or even invading the mind. But conjuring takes focus, and once they start bleeding, her voice quieted, they struggle to keep their tricks up. Fina studied her. And he can't control you, like the other Dark Masters did with the dead. Lytheria hesitated. A flicker of doubt crossed her face. I hadn't considered that. But there's no turning back now. I must face him. A chill pressed against Fina's spine. Damn it, Lily. She pulled Lytheria into a tight embrace, tightening her grip as if she could shield her through sheer will alone. I won't let them hurt you, my sweet Lily. No matter what comes next, please, be careful. A throat cleared beside them, breaking the moment. Elion stood there, his expression unreadable.
Pardon the interruption, priestess. Would you please wear this?
He extended a deep blue cloak toward her.
We must conceal you. Your presence in the city would spoil any chances of taking Ravemark by surprise.
Fina exhaled, pulling back from Lytheria. She noticed then that Ghalen, Haldor, and Nelrith were already cloaked, hoods drawn snug around their shoulders. The sun painted soft gold streaks across the land as they set off. The tall grasses swayed in the morning breeze, whispering against their boots and the horses' legs. Fina stole one last glance over her shoulder. The great wall was shrinking against the brightening horizon, a dark silhouette in the distance. On the other side, where people are fighting for their lives.